Karaoke Laplus. No. Doesn't need to happen another time. I mean, I don't know if you mean a streaming karaoke. We did go to karaoke. I didn't like immediately talk about it because I think she felt more comfortable with just waiting a while. But yeah, we did go the other day. Yeah, it's so funny. Like the other day, she tweeted something again and in her side account, sub account, and I was like, I answered to it, right? I was like, Lapu-chan, let's just go to karaoke. I kind of felt more confident in like being the cool senpai these days to her because she has been showing me so much love again, and I'm like, okay, well, let's ride this wave. I don't know. let's you know. And then she was like, her reactions were always so funny. Like on Twitter, she was also like, what? This can't be. And then I DM'd her on Discord. I was like, I mean it. Let's go to karaoke. And she's like, oh, what? Me? Really? Do you mean it? And I'm like, yeah. Let's go. Let's go karaoke. And she's like, oh, no way. Can we really? I'm like, yeah. When can you go? Like, give me, can you go anytime soon? Like, do you have time? And she's like, the whole time she's always like, what? Honto desu ka? Are you serious? And pull up our convo. What's rabbit? I scrolled down so far, but she's my fourth most recent conversation. So first I DM'd her. I just DM'd. I think I sounded really cool. Cause like after the Twitter interaction, I literally just DM'd her with 2 words in Japanese, but in English might be more words. I was just like, all right, when are we going? But I just said, itsuiku, when go? And she reacted like, with exclamation mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Really? Exclamation mark, question mark, question mark. Is it okay? Exclamation, question mark, exclamation, exclamation, question mark. And I'm like, yeah, I want to go. And then she, I think, was probably stun locked. So she didn't say anything after that for 2 days. So I followed up. 2 days later, I'm like, Lapu-chan, do you have time tomorrow evening? And honestly, that evening, I squeezed her in so forcefully because on that day I had like really rough long dance lessons actually. She said, well, I actually have like recordings, but next month I have a lot of free days. And I'm like, I'm not in Japan next month. How about this day? Oh, that was the day where I was actually super busy. But I was like, okay, there's no other choice because I'm not gonna be here next month, so we gotta do this. I was offering her a day that was kind of inconvenient for me in the hopes that she could go. And then she said, yeah, I can do it, but it will be really late. So we met really late. The karaoke, it was like past 10 p.m. But I was like, whatever, that's fine. Like, sounds good to me. Pretty late, unexpectedly late, but let's do it. And then she asks me a few hours later in the day, and she's like, Kiara-san, who are we, like, inviting? Like, who else are we inviting? Or are we just going with us two? And I'm like, I reply, like, of course it's just us two. It's a date. And then I'm gonna show you her reaction. This was her reaction. This is my face right now. And then I was like, okay, like, how about this place? Like, send her a location. And she was like, okay, I'll be there. And then I found this really funny. She then consults me about a concern. Because we're meeting up so late, right? She says, like, Kiara-san, ideally I would love to be with you until, like, the morning. But I have to get up really early the next morning. So I would have to go home by the latest at 1 a.m. When is that okay with you? When would you have to go home? And I thought that was so funny. I replied, Lapu-chan, I wasn't planning on being with you until the morning. It's not like we're going to a love hotel. We're of course gonna say goodbye to each other and go our own ways after like midnight, around midnight. Because I also have something to do tomorrow. I also have to work. And she's like, she laughs because I said like, oh, you want to go to a love hotel with me or something? Do you think that's what we're doing now? Oh. It was quite funny, the interactions. And then she was surprised that I wasn't even planning on staying for that long with her. And I said, well, because I'm a Cinderella girl. I don't usually go out past midnight, you know, ever. She said, oh, I wanted to hang out with you till the morning. I'm like, that's not my style. It was a relatively short session, but she brought me a gift, a snack gift. Fancy snack gift. Yeah, and she said this really fits with beer, and I'm like, I don't drink beer. I don't drink any alcohol, but thank you. Very nice. And then in the karaoke, I was trying to get her to sing stuff too, but she was kind of too shy. She just wouldn't sing most of the time. I think maybe she sang one song solo. I was able to force her to sing one song solo, but then most of the time she was just listening to me sing. I was like, oh, so cool. And then we sang like 2 or 3 songs together a little bit. Maybe 3 or 4 actually. And I sang my own songs for her. She was like, oh my god. I sang Do You for her, of course. And Pineapple. She really loves Pineapple. And I'm like, oh, she's so based for that. She gets it. I brought up that Pineapple was like my favorite too, besides Sleep Talking. But there were reasons why. I'm not gonna get into it again. I already explained to you why I went for Pineapple as the main track. Because I had the swimsuit 3D and it just works, and it was a summer track. And the swimsuit 3D wouldn't work with Sleep Talking. Do I really have to bring it up again, chat? You understand? Pineapple was just the best choice for the music video. Don't let me get into it. Don't make me get into it. Don't even get me started. But anyway, it was like also one of my favorites. Anyway, yeah, I'm not gonna get into it again. But anyway, she was like, really like Pineapple. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I'm really happy because like most of my fans, you know, I understand you guys don't like the cutesy K-pop that much. Seems like you prefer the cool K-pop, and I understand that. It makes sense. I enjoy both. I explained to her, you know, probably for me, like usually the more cool type songs get more appreciated, but I don't understand. Mirage isn't, to me, it's kind of like, well, it's not cutesy, but it's also not cool. It's like more elegant. But yeah, then we started talking about like what kind of K-pop she usually listens to, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love those too. I love that group too, and this and that group. And then we started like realizing that both of us also like watching some of these like K-pop idol survival shows. And then we chit-chat a little bit about that, and then I bring up like, oh, so you've seen this and this and this show. Have you seen this show, the one on Netflix with Cat's Eye? And she's like, no, what? I haven't seen that one. Yeah, so I recommended it to her because she knew Cat's Eye. She knew the song Tats, 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 Tats. So I sang it for her. She was really happy about that. I sang that for her. So she didn't know about the group itself, about the origin of the group. And then I told her it's so good. It's so dramatic. It's kind of different from like the typical K-pop survival shows. And they kind of get misled. The girls enter the show with the premise of them being selected solely by the choice of the trainers. So based on skill, really, pretty much. But then midway through, they introduced the voting from strangers all over the internet system. And don't even get me started. The interesting part about that was okay, so these people are voting, right? As usual in these survival shows, but it's not quite usual at that point either. First of all, the girls were like, what the fuck? This is not what we signed up for. We thought it would be about skill. But then suddenly, for it being now like this, people who don't have too much skill but just look cute get voted higher now. And it's like, you feel like, you know, betrayed. Obviously, you would be mad. Totally understandable, I would say. But yeah, it was rigged. Like, they didn't sign up for that. And what was really like, I saw at the time when the voting was going on, the Netflix show didn't exist yet. They didn't have a proper survival show. All what they were doing is upload the performances of these members to YouTube as clips. They never showed like the behind the scenes. You had no idea how the personality of one of these girls was. ever. You had no idea what kind of person this was. You only heard their performances and saw their performances, like their dancing and their singing. That's really unusual for these kind of shows, because normally they're all about watching these girls or boys like train behind the scenes and get, you know, interview and talk to each other, and this and that, the interactions, and then you figure out who you like also based on personality. In this case, all the voters had was these like clips. And now if you watch the Netflix documentary, you see all of that shit going down, and you might have, if you knew beforehand how these girls really behaved and everything, maybe you would have had a different fave and you would have voted for someone else, maybe. Yeah, it was really weird. At the time, I only saw some of these clips popping up in my algorithm, in my feed, and I honestly couldn't get into it because it felt so weird, and there was such a huge disconnect. Like, okay, these girls, those performance videos are pretty cool, but I don't understand what the hell is going on here. So I couldn't get into it. When I watched the Netflix show, however, I was like immediately sucked in. That was such a weird way to do things. Yeah, so I made her watch it. She went home. We both went home. And I ended up just DMing her to, like, remind her one of these days to watch this show. Remember, she said she had to get up early the next day. So I was just reminding her to one of these days watch it, and then let me know what she thought. But me reminding her was bad. She ended up binge watching it. Yeah, she started watching it, and then I fall asleep. I just went to bed. And then I wake up in the morning and I see a message from her at 4 a.m. It was like 4:30, and then again at 6 a.m. She wrote to me at 4:30. She's like, this is so exciting. I have to sleep, but I'm already at the 5th episode. And all of these episodes are like an hour or even more. And she's like, I always feel like crying watching this show. Like, constantly. You do feel like crying. It's very dramatic. And then at 6 a.m. she's like writing to me crying about a girl that was kicked out. And then instead of him appearing in the show, she's like, oh my god, they're in it. Oh my god. and then I'm like, later in the day, she's like, oh, I made it. Later in the day, early in the day still, but a few hours later, she's like, oh, I made it. She slept a little bit. So I assume she probably went to bed at like 7 a.m. or so. It's my fault, but it didn't mean she should have, I didn't want her to watch it right away. If she had to get up early, I didn't think she would be so silly. I thought she would be more responsible than that. It's a pretty intense show, yeah. I think, mostly binge watched it. Oh, nice, we got a lamp. But she really liked it. And now she knows the background of this group that she already was into. She didn't even know that they came out of a survival show. I wonder, like, the Netflix show apparently had really, really good views, and it was really popular. So I do think a lot of people know Cat's Eye from the show. But it seems like there's also a bunch of people who don't know it from the show. I've been getting along well with her these days, and I want to hang out more with her. And she's so cute, and I really like her fashion sense. And I get lost in her eyes these days, you know? Did I tell you that? I think I told you that I get lost in her eyes. She has such pretty eyes.